When the Man of Steel is forced to do battle with his best pal's new girlfriend, will love conquer all on the battlefield, or will everyone be screaming before this is over? Well, let's hop into the pages of Superman issue number 5 and find out together, shall we? Okay then, so in the last issue we discovered that Jimmy Olsen was actually dating Siobhan, aka old Superman foe Silver Banshee. Turns out they met on the street when Siobhan was putting up flyers for her band. Jimmy respected how old school a move that was, and Siobhan respected, well, his bow tie actually, because you don't get much older school than bow ties. The two started dating, and not long after that they moved in together, which of course came with opening up to each other about their secret lives, what with her being a former supervillain and Jimmy having, well, maybe one of the most interesting lives ever. He was a giant turtle. In fact, he's been several animals. Also, in a very hilarious pulling back of the curtain, we see Jimmy stumbling around trying to get ready one day late for work while Siobhan was being kidnapped by Dr. Graft. Graft had experimented on Silver Banshee, much like he did Parasite before her, increasing her powers through the use of strange new forms of kryptonite manipulation, which in turn allowed her to be hooked inside the Phantom Zone. So now when she does her Banshee scream, it's not just super loud, it's also filled with ghosts. Superman and Banshee's battle had been taken to the streets of Metropolis, and just before Superman was able to end things, Jimmy jumped on in saying, "Please don't hurt her, I love her." Again, when you're Jimmy Olsen, this isn't exactly the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you. My favorite reaction is probably Lex Luthor, who just face palms and says, "Geez, Superman, how do you save the world while also saving this guy from himself over and over?" Now, Siobhan as Silver Banshee doesn't actually want to hurt anyone, but these brand new untested Phantom Zone energies inside her are getting harder and harder to contain, and she knows it's only a matter of time before she hurts someone. Mercy Graves and the rest of Supercorp make the scene at this moment, believing they have their own idea on how to deal with Silver Banshee. It's a big gun. Apparently that's their plan to deal with every super problem. Just shoot it with a big science gun, which Superman, as their new CEO, is not a fan of. Still though, Clark theorizes the parts inside some of these weapons might actually be enough to contain Banshee's new power, but he's going to have to get close enough to her, and thankfully this is where Jimmy comes in. Actually, at first Superman didn't want Jimmy getting in harm's way, but when Jimmy kind of asserted himself and took him by the collar and said, "Hey man, what if it was someone you loved?" only for Clark to understand fully completely. Jimmy plays his part in the rescue mission perfectly, and he even gets himself a little jetpack to boot around on and help Superman side by side. Silver Banshee even gets a little Lassie moment. "Don't come near me, I'll hurt you. I don't even love you anymore. Run." But it's clear to everyone that Jimmy's feelings are very real. He stands his ground, and in the end, Superman is actually able to siphon off all of this brand new Phantom Zone energy, though in doing so, he may actually have bitten off more than he bargained for, but more on that in a minute. Siobhan is safe, with Supercorp actually giving her and Jimmy a clean bill of health. Apparently she'll just be a little bit more amped for the next couple days. Oh, I'm sure that won't be a problem for the young couple at all. All in all, it's a happy ending. Unfortunately, Superman is nowhere near closer to catching Dr. Farm and Graft. He goes back to their old base deep under the city, where he finds a holo message waiting for them. In fact, this is the first time him and these new villains are meeting face to face, or face to hologram. The villains congratulate Superman on a job well done, while also trying to drive a wedge between him and Lex Luthor. After all, these guys seem to hate Lex more than anything, and Superman and Metropolis are really just kind of casualties getting in the way. It's during their conversation, Graft and Farm end up dropping reference to something called Project Chain, something that Luthor is working on that Superman himself will not be a fan of, which in turn only adds more fuel to the already growing fire of Superman not actually trusting Lex, despite him being very helpful from prison and trying to assist Superman in taking down his old mad scientist foes. Now remember I said the fight with Silver Banshee actually left its mark on Superman? Well, turns out he lost his hearing. Well, he lost his super hearing. Doctors at Supercorp say that it'll come back within a few days, but for the next little bit, Superman is actually hearing like a regular old normal person. It's a really rare occasion for Superman, and one he ends up drinking in. Him and Lois go on a fun little date night wherein they're eventually joined by Siobhan and Jimmy. Apparently, Siobhan's band, the Metropolis Banshees, is playing a show that night. They're an all-girl punk band who sings songs about bow ties, in case you're wondering. Superman admits that not being able to hear the whole world outside of him is an odd feeling, but being right here, right now with his best friend and the woman he loves, he couldn't ask for more. Of course, the big problem with that is that maybe having Superman lose his super hearing is exactly what Farm and Graft wanted. That means when Lex Luthor actually starts spilling his guts about how he's actually happy to be working with Superman and how he only wishes they could have worked together back in Smallville because Lord only knows what they could have done then. Superman can't hear that, but he also can't hear Lex Luthor getting all stabbed up in the prison hallway. In fact, as the comic ends, a bleeding Lex begs for Superman to come and save him, only for that request to be fallen on deaf ears. And so that was Superman issue number 5, everybody, and I gotta say, this has gotta be one of the most fun, enjoyable, wholesome Jimmy Olsen-related Superman stories I've read in a very long time. I feel as a character, his importance to the Superman family often gets sidelined or goes unrepresented, but here Joshua Williamson is showing that he wants to use every part of Superman lore, including his best pal. In fact, in general, I would say this book under Williamson has been really great for letting supporting characters kind of share the spotlight with Superman himself. There's also a really strong and compelling theme beginning to form in this first arc, all about forgiveness and second chances. Superman says because he was taken in by a kindly couple and given a second chance at life, he feels he needs to extend that olive branch to everyone. Silver Banshee is shown here that all she really needed was a little love and friendship and kindness to turn over a new leaf, and Superman, even though he knows that Lex is lying to him, hopes that he could do the same. It's just really solid, quintessential Superman comic stuff, and I don't know what more to say about it besides that I really enjoyed it. Throw in some great art, some creative action scenes, and you got yourself another real solid winner here. Overall, I would give it a much deserved 8.5 out of 10. And I can't wait to see what the next arc and the next storyline has to offer.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.